Hello, I want to talk about this group of 144,000 in the book of Revelation. It's a hot topic right now. I want to go skip around a few places and read a couple things that where these are mentioned. So hopefully you can learn something, and hopefully I can learn something too. So John is given this vision of the book of Revelation. He's given this vision, and the first 3 chapters are basically letters to the angels of 7 churches in Asia. And let's see here. I think the first place that we hear of these 144,000, and I might be wrong on this, but I think it's chapter 7 is the first place we hear about them. I think. Anyway, chapter 7, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt this earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. The servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then it goes through the tribes. There's 12,000 out of the tribe of Judah, 12,000 out of the tribe of Reuben were sealed, and Gad, Asher, Nephthalim, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and palms in their hands. Okay, and then I'm just going to skip a little bit here. One of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Okay, therefore, verse 15, Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. Okay. A couple important things there. Their robes are washed clean by the blood of the Lamb, and they came out of great tribulation. Okay? Those 2 things we want to remember. And then we're going to go all the way to Revelation 14 and read about them a little bit more. I think that's where we're going. Hold on. Yeah, that's where we're going. Okay, Revelation 14 verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. Having his father's name written in their foreheads. Go back to chapter 7 really quick and repeat this. The angel with the seal of the living God, he cried with a loud voice, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And there was 144,000 sealed. So we're talking about the same people. Okay? Yes. Okay. And I heard a voice from heaven. This is 14 verse 2. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and the voice of a great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000. Sounds like flat earth. Which were redeemed from the earth. verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. That verse we got to talk about. Okay, virgins, for they are virgins. If we look at the Greek, I don't remember the word used. I should have opened up Bible Hub so I could explain this better, but I'll go off memory. It says in there under word studies, I think the word is pure, but I don't know what the Greek word is. It says faithful to Christ, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. We're not talking about sexual virginity. I don't believe we are, but when it says these are they which are not defiled with women, I believe that means they're not defiled by the whore, because they had victory over the beast. Okay, so we'll come back to that a little bit, hopefully. Okay, let's see here. We want to skip to the next chapter, I think, chapter 15, because this will tell us what I want to show you guys is that right now we're living during the tribulation right now. We're almost like at the halfway point of these 7 years. We've been in it for 3.5 years, and I know a lot of you are gonna argue with that. That's fine. Of course, this is just my belief, what I'm getting from the Word, because that's where I get all my information. My story comes out of here. So let's read chapter 15. It's not very long. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. So we're talking about the 7 last plagues and the wrath of God. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. Okay, I'm going to just show you that this is the same 144,000 on the sea of glass. I think it says that in chapter 14. Maybe not. It says it a few other places, the sea of glass. Anyway, they were standing on a sea of glass having the harps of God. And they sung the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy. For all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. And after that I looked, and behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. And 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power. And no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. So we don't have the wrath of God being poured out in the vials even yet, and we already have the 144,000 are already in heaven, or they're already at God's throne. And if we go to Revelation 12, verse 5, we had the woman, the wonder in heaven of a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and I believe we saw that on September 23rd and 4th of 2017. That was constellations were specifically what this, in the place that this says. And the interesting thing to me is that a lot of people were saying And I was excited about it, but I didn't, make some conclusion or something. But a lot of people were saying that that was going to be like a rapture of the church. Well, um, they forgot to finish reading chapter 12 because there's a dragon involved in this, and that's Satan. And uh, he's going to be cast to earth. He's going to be thrown to earth because he has dominion of the host of heaven right now. So, let's see here. Let me just read verse 5, 12 verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and to his throne. Okay? And so then in 15, we saw that. They were on the sea of glass, and they had gotten victory over the beast and his mark and his image and the number of his name. And then that's an interesting thing too. They sing the song of Moses, the servant of God. What did Moses write? He wrote Genesis, right? And the song of the Lamb, saying, "Great and marvelous are thy works." Okay. So I guess what we've established is that the 144,000 are caught up to God before the 7 vials or the 7 plagues that the 7 angels have the vials are going to be poured out. Okay. The wrath of God, it has not come yet, and these people are already up in heaven. So that's 144,000 of them. All right, and now, what was I just going to do? I just lost my train of thought here. Hold on. Oh yeah, chapter 11. Okay, there's these 2 witnesses, and this gets very interesting to me. Okay, now, I'm not going to go into who they are and all that, because that's a whole long story, and I should actually probably do a video on that. But verse 3 in chapter 11, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. So whoever they are, they're going to prophesy for 1,260 days. And it says, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it not rain in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. That's very important. As often as they will. It doesn't say that they're definitely going to be doing all of these plagues. It just says as often as they will. So I'm going to take that exactly as what that says. As often as they will. We don't know if they're even going to. So just keep that in mind, because I believe that a lot of this is just in spirit, and we're taking it as literal, like their dead bodies shall lie in the street. Well, it shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also the Lord was crucified. Was the Lord crucified in Sodom or Egypt? Somebody tell me, because I don't think that he was crucified in Sodom or Egypt, but it says spiritually. So let's think about that. Well, I'll let you think about that, okay? We're talking possibly, this is just kind of a theory that's going, not a theory, it's just something that's been going through my head. 3.5 days, these bodies are going to be in the street, dead in the streets, okay? Verse 9 of chapter 11, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, ha ha ha, flat earth, gifts to one another, send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3.5 days, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Okay? I thought these were going to be two guys, like people. I mean, when you read it, it kind of just seems like there's going to be two people, and they're going to be like famous because they're like powerful, and you know, they have all these plagues they can do, and basically they're going to be supernatural or something, because these are, what does it say? They're the two candlesticks or whatever. Yeah, these are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. So they sound pretty hardcore. But then when I think about it, I'm like, they're standing before the God of the earth. They're not standing on earth. They're standing before the God of the earth. They're standing in heaven. They're in the spirit world. They're in the heavenly realm. Okay? And how are they going to prophesy in the heavenly realm that we're going to hear? How is that going to even work? Well, the Spirit of truth. It's specifically, Jesus told us specifically about this, I believe. John 16:13. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. Now listen to this part. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. So we have, I believe we have in the spirit realm, and I don't know this for sure. I mean, this is, I'm sharing with you right as things come to me. I'm not chewing them up too much and thinking about them all that much. I feel it's important to get other people maybe to see some of the ways that I'm thinking about this, and maybe, yeah, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just Joe, and I'm just reading my Bible and really getting some strong ideas from it. And it's right here. It just says, he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear. So in my personal life, whatever, my daily, I've been, for the last over a year, I've been directed to study this book right here, Revelation. And after I studied that and started getting an idea of what these beasts in chapter 13 were, then I was directed over to Daniel, and I found out that they're the same beasts there that Daniel sees. And then a story started forming about the stars falling, and next thing you know, I believe that they're breaking the firmament, and it's God putting it in their hearts to fulfill his will, which is written, to fulfill what is written. Stars fall. So that I've just, over the last year, I've learned more than I've ever learned in my entire life. But this Bible has become alive to me. So anyway, check this out. This is the best part this is the reason why I really made this video. But it's hard for me to get to explain how these two witnesses, I think they're in spirit, prophesying to the Spirit of truth. And any one of us that has the Spirit of truth can benefit and hear that, can listen for that. And what are they prophesying about? Well, we're going to get into this. I'm going to do it really quick. Revelation 10, verse 11. And he said unto me, so the angel said unto John, and he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. There's one. Daniel 12, verse 13. Sorry. I should just quote it because I know it. But go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, and stand in thy lot at the end of days. That was what they said to Daniel. So that's two. And you know, to be honest, I'll just say, I think there's more than two. I mean, I think there's two in Revelation 11, but there's a lot more prophesying going on, I think. And another one would be Elijah in, let's see here. Oops. Let me just find it. It would be in Malachi, and it would be chapter 4, verse 5. It says, "Remember, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." That's 3. I don't know, but the 2 witnesses in Revelation 11, I know what they're prophesying about because I've heard it. I'm witness to it. I've witnessed this in my own life personally, and studied it out, and spent the last year of my life dedicated to understanding this. Very dedicated to understanding this. But the same hour. Okay, so we're in Revelation 11, and these 2 witnesses are going to prophesy, and they have all this stuff they can do. And then the Spirit of life from God entered them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Okay, in the book of Revelation, it's always talking about those who were slain for the word of God and for their testimony, and they didn't love their lives unto the death. Okay, I believe also that is not physical death that it's talking about, which is, I'm going to get a lot of argument on that too, but there's a lot of places in the book of Revelation that are talking about being slain, but I believe that it's eternally. It's not flesh blood that we're talking about. I believe it's the soul, and that's what this beast system does. Is it? Well, let's just let the Bible talk. Okay, in chapter 18, we're talking about the fall of Babylon, and we find out in verse 13, because it's going through the kings of the earth who have committed fornication. This is verse 9. Have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. It's going through her merchandise, and the merchants of the earth shall weep. The merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, and of pearls, fine linen, purple and silk, scarlet and thyine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and of iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and the souls of men. The souls of men. Okay? So this isn't a joke, and it's not about salvation. It's about whether or not you want to live through 42 months of God's wrath being poured out, or if you want to be slain to the world. Okay? That I'm just giving you my opinion. The souls of men, that's what we're talking about. Okay? When the beasts destroy peacefully, when the false prophet or whatever destroys peacefully, how does he do it? He destroys peacefully. People, it's through deception. People don't know they're being destroyed. They don't know their souls are being put to this place that they got to be until they can repent and figure it out. There's only 144,000 alive that have victory over the beast. And why is that? Why do they have victory over the beast? Because they learned a new song. They learned a new song, and they sang that before the throne. And only them could learn it. So, however that works, it was because they were sealed in their foreheads by the angel that had the seal of the living God. Okay? They're the servants of God. They're the children of Israel, but we aren't talking about the children of Israel that we know from before. We're talking about the new children of New Jerusalem, the 12 gates, the 12. That's who these 144,000 are. They're going to serve God in his temple. And he's going to bring that down from heaven. I love that verse. We're going to read it. And then I'll probably just end this video because I don't know, there's a lot to chew on here. I love this part right here. Verse 12 of chapter 3. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh out of heaven from my God. And I will write upon him my new name. That's where these 144,000 are going to live. And they are not white, black, Asian, whatever. That has nothing to do with it. We're talking about servants of God. And they're servants of God now that are alive, that are called, chosen, and faithful, and follow the Lamb, and they sing a new song. They have the voice of a loud thunder. Speaking of, loud thunder. Why do they have the voice of a loud thunder? I'll tell you why. Because in Revelation 10, verse 3, and cried with a loud voice as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. That was an angel that was crying, a mighty angel. 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So he seals them up in a little book. And he's told to eat the little book. And it would be bitter in his stomach, but sweet like honey in his mouth. It would taste like sweet like honey. And it was. And I think that's talking about flat earth. That's talking about what every flat earther goes through every day of their flat earth life. It's a ridiculed idea. It is a bitter thing. It ruins the reputation you have. It ruins friendships, marriages, and this is also written. Everything that we're experiencing is written. Let's go to Zechariah, chapter 12. Yeah, chapter 12. You know what? I'm gonna I'll just do this briefly, and then I'm gonna make a video on Zechariah. Okay, chapter 12, verse 10. And I will pour upon thee, or the house of David, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadradon, and the valley of Megadon. I don't know how to say it. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, and the family of Shammai apart, and their wives apart. All the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. In that day, this is chapter 13 now. In that day there shall be a fountain opened in the house of David, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. I'm witness to this. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land. And it goes on and explains the flat earth life. And at verse 8 and 9 of chapter 13, and it shall come to pass that in the land, saith the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, the Lord is my God. I say the Lord is my God. Anyway, there we go. That's enough.